Releasing nationwide in 5 theaters.
Just inside him.
Daco, I Die.
Secret and beautiful moments in time.
He became Legend of Arch.
Daco Death.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to bears, man.
Like a barber. Proceeding, sir. There's plenty of lore about this guy.
Here is where I disagree with Treadwell.
There's lots of lore out there about Herzog.
Broadcasting live from inside the power band. This is The Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, Kevin, a.k.a. The Mulverine, along with my super-powered friends, Ben, a.k.a. Zarhigo.
What's up?
And Chad, a.k.a. C-Lab Forever.
Hello. That was my best attempt at a Herzog. Hello.
Nice.
It's pretty bad.
Plenty of opportunity for that coming up. You're gonna hone it. You will be Herzog by the end of this episode.
By the end of it, I'll be super nihilistic.
Exactly.
Guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen. Welcome to the podcast, folks. This week, we are taking a slight left turn and talking about something a little bit different, a documentary. The connection is...
Tentative, at best.
The tentative connection is our good friend Werner Herzog. Friend of the show, Werner Herzog, who we enjoyed and loved in The Mandalorian. He directed this particular documentary. It is about Timothy Treadwell, also known as the Grizzly Man, who, for 13 summers, went up to Alaska, invaded a national park, broke many laws in said natural park, and lived with grizzly bears every summer for 13 years. He was ultimately dispatched by a grizzly bear, and for the last 5 years, he filmed not everything that happened, but many of the things that happened. He had, I think, something like 1,000 hours of footage, and our friend Mr. Herzog took the footage and turned it into a documentary called Grizzly Man. And today we're going to be talking about that.
Funtown.
Have you guys ever seen a Herzog film before, by chance?
Never.
They're all very much like this. They're really enjoyable, and they're always really weird.
I can't remember the name of it, but I watched the one he did about, I saw Lo and Behold, Reveries of the Connected World.
Was it any good?
Yeah, of course. It's Herzog, you know.
He's such a dark dude. I love him. He's fucking hysterical.
Very interesting guy.
Do you got any high levels on this thing? Maybe high levels on documentaries in general. Do you guys enjoy a good documentary or?
Oh my goodness, yes. I don't, the funny thing is, like, I don't actively seek them out, but as soon as somebody recommends a really good one, I'll jump right on it. So, I do love a good doc. I don't actively seek them out, but when I find one or somebody recommends one, I love watching a good documentary. Let's take it over to Jarhigo.
Yep, I watch them.
Always the poignant retort. I'd like to propose a mini death for me, where anytime I use the word Daco, I die, because that's the Australian word for documentary.
Please don't do that.
I'm going to kill you if you do that.
That's why if I unintentionally drop the word, I would like to be called out on it.
Okay, I'm just to discourage you, I'm giving you a Daco death to start.
Okay.
And hopefully that will deter you, kind of like shock treatment.
Yeah. Well, as far as Herzog stuff, what I like about his films, whether they're documentaries or not, is he just finds the most interesting parts of the most interesting people. And he is also interesting, and the way that he films them is really different, and it just ends up with just the most bizarre collection of, I don't know, moments, and he has a talent for it, and it's just, I really enjoy his stuff. And this one is no exception.
Secret and beautiful moments in time. What, Chad, you didn't answer your own question, and I'm curious. Do you watch a lot of documentaries? I mean, I would imagine.
I don't know. I kind of feel like documentaries for me are like nonfiction books. Like, I really like them, but I kind of don't run into them that much, just because when I read, or maybe specific to this question, when I watch something, I'm usually trying to just chill out a bit instead of like learn something, like it's the end of the day and I'm trying to chill instead of like reading some hardcore nonfiction book or watching some hardcore documentary. So I don't know. I think like you can enjoy this type of documentary, but I have definitely dabbled in the doco, there you go, space in the past.
Dead.
that was intentional. But I love Herzog stuff. I think anyone who enjoyed him in Mando would do themselves a service to watch one of his documentaries because they are just well crafted and bizarre.
Let me pose a different question to you guys. I guess the thing about this particular show is that, obviously the connection is Herzog. Where did you first encounter him? In a doc? Was it in a film, TV? Because he kind of dabbles all around,
Yeah, dude.
What was your first exposure to him?
I think it was this. I think I saw this in a theater in San Francisco in the early 2000s.
Oh.
Because this was barely released. I think it was only released in something like 30 theaters and then 100 theaters. And I think I just stumbled across it in an obscure movie theater.
Yeah, that's a typical documentary fare. Releasing nationwide in 5 theaters.
That's it. And for this, like, his stuff is just so unique to him with his crazy accent, his narration, and it's just like, it's very memorable. So I think after I saw this, I was fascinated and started digging into some of his older stuff because he's got some really, really weird movies from back in the 60s and 70s or maybe 70s.
Really? That's odd.
Yeah. And then did a ton of documentaries. So
right on. What about you, Benny?
Yeah, it's got to be just legend,
Totally.
There's lots of lore out there about Herzog, and especially Herzog in reference to Klaus Kinski. And, just stories of, there's just so many crazy stories out there.
Wow.
So that would actually, I just kept hearing about Herzog from other people and eventually kind of made my way to checking him out myself.
Interesting. Okay. I like it. That was a really good answer. I full of mystery and intrigue. I didn't realize that there was a whole world of lore about Herzog out there. I discovered this guy actually watching Jack Reacher. He was the bad guy in one of these Jack Reacher movies that had chewed off most of his fingers. He was really intense and really just Herzog, like dark and creepy. It was perfect. It was perfect in the film, in the context of the film. So that was my first exposure to him. And then when I saw him in Mando, of course.
He became legend of our show.
And legend he is.
And I think we mentioned, it might have been Benny, but I think we mentioned that he did the Mando part to fund a movie. So he had never seen a Star Wars movie before.
That would not surprise me one bit.
But he loved Baby Yoda. Right, Benny?
When I first saw Baby Yoda, it made me cry.
I loved him.
Grogu, the most popular toy this Christmas. Baby Grogu.
Tickle me, Grogu.
.com.
You got to add in a couple of the little sound effects.
Sorry, we're still on high level, correct?
Yeah.
He said with not a lot of confidence.
I guess a question I would pose to you guys, being that it's one of the first, if not the first time you've seen his documentaries and kind of really gotten a long example of his narration and filming style, what your kind of opinion is on his style.
Higro, you want to go first? Do you want me to?
Yeah, sure. Chad, I think you said it probably really as absolutely as well as I could say it. That he just seems to find, no matter what the subject matter is, he seems to find these people that are really interesting, and he manages to capture these, kind of peculiar moments, perhaps maybe even awkward moments on film in a way that's like somehow distinctly Herzog. And yeah, you're never going to see that anywhere else. It's somehow his perspective, his point of view, I think, is really present in his films. Like there's something, you're seeing something through his eyes in a way.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing the story the way it makes sense to him. So yeah, I don't know if that gets at it, but
yeah, totally,
it's an attempt.
My answer is going to be a little different. I think that this movie may not be the best representation of him, only in as much as the footage was Treadwell's, right?
Found footage, yeah.
Yeah, found footage. So, I don't know. So this probably isn't the best representation to answer that question, certainly. But he, at the same time, can make a pretty strong case that certainly in this one, like he's at times I could see, or at times you're almost taken out of it because, especially in this one, he's injecting his style and opinion in the narration. You know what I mean? And Treadwell really does love the bears and love nature and loves what he's doing, you know, and then Herzog comes in, you know, just brings the darkness, man. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So, I mean, it's funny and it works fine, you know, and I know he's not trying to be funny. It's funny to us, but I could make a case that it takes away from that, you know, because this guy did some really cool stuff, right? Like, I mean, it was a little crazy what he did up there with the Bears, but then he like brought the whole thing back to the lower 48 and he was teaching children and all of this sort of thing and never asked for a dime to do it. Like, that's a special kind of dedication, you know? And then you got Herzog coming in and saying, "This is where I disagree with Timothy. The world is about death and murder." You know, it's kind of like, dude, take it down like 10 notches, man. You know, like,
Yeah.
Consequently, that's my favorite quote of the movie.
That's my favorite quote of the movie too. And that was not an accurate quote.
I wrote it down so that I could drop it in his voice, but I don't want to do it right now.
Oh, perfect. Okay. I have the part queued up because I didn't have time to write it down, but that was my favorite quote as well, you know. So
good.
Very metal.
I mean, yeah, very metal.
Herzog, that's a great description. Herzog is metal.
He is metal, dude.
Dude, he did a cameo in Metalocalypse, I think.
He did, didn't he?
Get your wish, Chad. You just sniped one of my nuggets.
Oh, sorry, bro.
In fact, it was the only nugget I had because I just found it on Wikipedia. I was like, ooh, that's a great nugget. There's Chad with his giant hammer. Fuck you.
Werner Herzog is metals. Yeah, he's really metal.
I got you something for the nugget section, Kev.
What, you're going to give me a nugget because you feel bad?
No, I'm going to give you nothing. Anyways, Werner Herzog.
Yeah, anyway, Herzog.
Check it out, guys. New codpiece. I got some real cool codpiece, too. No talkie, that's a dildo. Sorry.
That's all right.
Don't be sorry. So attempting to get back on track. That was the end of my I think that he kind of
attempted to get back on track. The end. I kind of agree with what you're saying in terms of like him bringing the darkness, but like on the other hand, I have a certain amount of sympathy for Treadwell, specifically around the idea of a person trying to find their purpose in life. But
totally, dude,
I do kind of ride a little bit more on Herzog's death motorcycle, and I do find myself a lot more sympathetic to, you know, the point of view that he brings of just like, you know, you play with fire, you're going to get fucking burnt, you know, going out into nature, you're just asking for it. And there's a certain amount of, I think there was a visible amount of ego wrapped up in this where it seemed like a healthy portion of the reasons for this adventure by Treadwell was, you know, trying to force a purpose and to force a higher cause and to force a bit of, I don't know, for lack of a better term, success. And so I tended to side a little bit more with Herzog as the film progressed, if that makes sense.
I tend to, in regards to Treadwell, side more with, you know, what the museum director there.
Yeah. Great example.
Had to say about it, where, you know, the indigenous people stay in their place and they leave the bears alone and the bears leave them alone. And that's what they've been doing for, you know, thousands of years, and it works. So I'm kind of more on that. You know, I understand. I mean, what Treadwell did definitely brought some value to the world for sure. But I tend to more agree with the don't fuck with the bears side of things. If that makes any sense.
It makes a ton of sense, and I agree with that, actually. That is my general attitude towards nature. And, you know, I spent a lot of time hiking this year because of COVID with my little ones, and I was constantly telling them that, you know, it's just leave it be, man. Observe and report. Always observe and report, and while he did bring awareness, I don't of what? Of bears themselves? Yeah, definitely. But, I could make a strong case that he didn't really need to do any of that. Going back to your point, Chad, it was in fact more about him than anything. Or I could make an argument that it is,
Yeah.
Because I'm trying not to sound like I'm crapping all over him.
No, because he'll just touch it if you do.
Yeah. Nice one.
This was just inside him.
Oh wow, that was weird.
I had a friend in Port-au-Prince that had a bit of a, I don't know, I guess a tenet that he lived by, which was if you're taking more than you're giving, you need to pack it up. And there's always a bit of a balance between give and take. And so, I've mentioned a couple of times vaguely that I did a little bit of disaster response. And so in a setting where, you're an outsider, you're definitely balancing between taking and giving. By going to a new place, you're going to be absorbing new things and you're going to be out of your depth and out of your culture and whatnot. And it benefits a person greatly to travel or to experience new stuff. But where you're going, if you're skirting on exploitation, then you need to be aware of that. And I think his comment of if you're taking more than you're giving, you need to just step away. And I kind of maybe feel like that balance tipped a bit for Treadwell. And it's not to say that there wasn't, a decent amount of him giving to the world and contributing to the awareness of bears and the things that you guys just said. But I suppose maybe to be a bit more specific about it, I feel like that balance got out of whack. And towards the end, he was taking more than he was giving.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think that he gave? Was it just knowledge and awareness?
I went onto the website that they started, Grizzly People or whatever, and it's a fucking shit show website. But they mentioned that they want to raise awareness about bears so that bears become cultural icons like whales and dolphins and stuff. And so, while that sounds really stupid, I definitely understand a desire for cultural awareness to be raised to a certain level where now they're more considered a protected animal in the mind of the zeitgeist than maybe just a okay, cool animal, bro, kind of thing. The way they were going about it, I don't particularly think was probably very effective, but at the same time, I get what they were going for, but I just don't really see how him being in a park that's protected by federal laws and federal rangers, I don't see how him being there is protecting them. Protecting them from what?
I agree. I mean, except for the one scene where we see poachers,
But they were fishing. I kind of thought they were poachers too, and then the more I saw it, the more I was like, they're just tourists. I kind of feel like he was a little bit neurotic in that scene,
No, I could totally see that, and I agree with you. It's it's federally protected land. It's the park rangers are having to come in to tell you to move your tent and for you to do X and for you to do Y. So it's what are you really doing here? You know what I mean? I think ultimately the journey is about his own redemption for himself, getting off the booze and taking his life in a new direction.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, man. And then he, many people said, including Herzog, you push it too far, you're going to get clipped.
Sure.
And he did.
Boy, did he.
Yeah, I feel like the Treadwell as a protector of the bears thread was something more that was this internal narrative that was developing for him as more than, something that was actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
Although he did do some things, he did go as far as to try and, I don't know, build a channel for the salmon to get down so that they would have something to, he was directly interfering in some cases for sure.
On their behalf.
On their behalf, yeah.
But like you said.
But I'm not so sure that he was, out there doing what he thought he was doing. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And the morality of interfering as well. That's a bit of a separate question, but there's another layer to it too,
Yeah, sure. And I'm pretty sure at some point, the bears are protected up to a certain point, but there's also, there's a season of hunting, because otherwise you end up with bears roaming around in towns and, causing havoc. Nobody wants to step outside their back door and, find a grizzly bear right there going through their trash,
No, it's a good point. I think like some of the more interesting things about ecosystems, like I'm not a huge, nature nut necessarily. Like I've definitely spent a lot of time hiking and stuff, but the intriguing parts of reading up or learning a bit about, biology and whatnot was how like ecosystems achieve balance where, a local population of an animal like a deer or a bear will, if they eat too much of the food, then the population dies off. And then that dying off of that population means that their food now increases. And there's like a balance, and I kind of like that idea of that balance. And then, some fucking knucklehead comes in and is like, it's not fair that there's no rain, or what the fuck with the salmon, and just like goes out of his way to try and fix it. And it's like, there's nothing to fix here, dude. Just because you fucking named the bear fucking Teddy Ruxpin and you love it doesn't mean it deserves to fucking feast on salmon,
Well, I mean, this is part of the larger conversation of human beings and their own ridiculous arrogance, like and their lack of understanding of how the natural world works. Because what you just described, Chad, is that's how everything works. It's already a perfectly designed system, right? And it's designed to rebalance itself if it gets out of whack. And that is a literally perfect example of it. And then, people come along and they're like, these woods are dirty. There's a lot of leaves here.
Yeah, let's clean it out.
You know what? Let's get some folks in here, some volunteers, and we'll clean it all up. And I think we can make a little bit of money on it. But we won't pay the volunteers. We'll give them a tote bag. And we'll have a nice, clean forest. Like why? You don't need to do that. It's fine. Everything's fine the way it is. Just leave it alone.
Yeah. And there's definitely that element to this where it's like, okay, you're into it. Okay, you want to raise awareness, but just like, bro, mind your fucking business. Like, stop fucking around.
Well, yeah, I agreed. And I mean, again, to advocate for him slightly, I think he went in, looking for the redemption kind of thing and trying to get a new direction in his life. And then I think he realized shortly after, either one or two seasons that, he could make it his mission to raise the awareness. And again, to his credit, he went around and made virtually nothing doing this, and he toured all over the country and was speaking everywhere and all that sort of thing. So, that he kind of discovered that as he went along. But yeah, still, when you read about the between him and the park rangers, it's like seemed like they were kind of constantly after him, or not constantly, but regularly to do one thing or the other, that he just seemed to refuse to do because he wanted to commune with the bears.
I think Benny hit on a really interesting thing that I hadn't really considered, where
yes,
the protector idea was his own construct. And it really kind of reminds me of a lot of people that talk about how when you become, I don't know, known in a space or trying to develop a career in a space or whatever it may be, whether you're a YouTuber or whatever else, you can kind of take on a bit of a persona. And I feel like what I kind of am taking away from that comment, Benny, is that like that was a persona that he created for himself over years and years of being out there to justify his being there and stuff. So it's similar to what you guys were saying, but
yeah, he was creating his own narrative there for sure. Suddenly, all of a sudden, it's the fucking government, and it's me versus the government, and it's me versus the poachers, and it's me versus the hunters, and there's definitely this narrative going on that I don't. Well, it was his, I guess, point of view, but it almost feels like he was inventing this sort of story to take place. This good versus evil, this this narrative taking place that isn't necessarily there. It's just what he. I don't know. Yeah, like you said, I don't know if it's to try and justify things or if it's to try and make it more interesting or, I don't know. But
I kind of feel like it started off as a way to justify and then turned into a like, I have to keep doing this now because if I stop, the whole thing will crumble. Like, I have to keep doing it. It was like almost like a driving force, maybe eventually, even if it was completely not accurate or not true.
Well, yeah, and that's where I think it's a construct of his own mind. Like Ben said, like he created all of that.
I would say the whole thing became a new addiction. It's like he traded in alcoholism for
that's a great point
for doing this stuff, and clearly became quite obsessed with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Addicted to bears, man.
It's a great point. People generally speaking that have addictive personalities tend to get addicted to something else after they clean up. We have a friend over here that spent her whole life addicted to really hard drugs and was in and out of prison and stuff. And we met her at a rehab facility we were doing some work with, and she cleaned up her act and is now like heavily addicted to lifting weights and is like a personal trainer. So it's completely different, but in a similar way. Like,
no doubt,
it seems like
the
people
behavior
those
is the
types
same.
Like it's a good thing to be addicted to, as long as you kind of stay off the roids or whatever. But like, that's a really interesting point.
No, it is. I mean, you addictive behavior is addictive behavior. So I get it, and I think you're 1,000% right about that for sure.
In terms of the movie, some of the things that jumped out at me, it's been a long time since I'd seen this. I probably haven't seen it since 2005, but I really found it interesting how often the people that he interviewed like just projected their opinions onto the scene and the situation. In particular, a couple of examples were like the helicopter pilot, not the dude with the Sam whatever mustache or whatever.
Sam Elliot mustache.
Yeah, not that dude, but there's a helicopter pilot that is interviewed for a moment, and he's just like, Treadwell thought he was working with people in bear costumes, and he got what he was asking for, and the bears thought there was something wrong with him, and the bear decided that he'd had enough. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Like, you have no idea what the fucking bears are thinking, or it just it was so often that people were just like deciding what had happened that they weren't there for, number one, and then they were like saying what the fucking bears like hopes and dreams were, and it was just such an interesting thing.
Yeah, that was weird. You're right. I didn't think about it that way, but I know the helicopter pilot. Yeah, I think he was the one that went in when they brought the Rangers in and kind of, declared the death and identified the bodies and so forth. Yeah,
like it's an exciting story in like small town kind of thing where you're like, I was part of that, and you can kind of be like, that fucking idiot, blah blah blah, in the bar. Like I kind of get that kind of gossipy stuff, but just the projecting themselves onto the situation was really fascinating.
Well, and to Herzog, interesting choices of who to interview and what to put in the film, because that stuff I think is all Herzog.
Yeah,
definitely. The interviews, all of that stuff. How about that coroner, man? I think he definitely spent a little too much time down in the morgue.
Yeah, he was a bit of an.
Sorry, I mean, that's so morbid, man.
I had some sympathy for the guy because I definitely got the feeling that he was trying to be poignant and was extremely uncomfortable on camera, but it came off so weird. He was just such a weirdo.
Yes.
Yeah, it almost came off to me like, I mean, I don't know. I imagine coroners must be, if it's what you're doing, then, you gotta, in some ways sort of enjoy it and be like a nerd about it.
Yeah.
And I don't think you often get a chance to talk about your job with people.
Or how you feel.
Yeah. So I don't know. That was sort of the impression that I got.
Absolutely.
Yeah, mix that with
whoa, this guy's been down in the morgue for a while. He needed to talk to somebody about this shit.
Oh, no doubt, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I seriously doubt he's getting together with the other coroners in the land in Alaska and, sitting down and having a beer. Well, how's it? I don't know. Like that's not happening.
Then I cut his arm off and fucking woo. All right, dude.
Yeah.
Also, the extreme nature of, just what happened there. Like if I can't even imagine that somebody works in a morgue could fathom, that being something that you have to sort of sort out, so to speak, literally. And
the contents of a bear's stomach.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Pretty fucked up.
Jesus. Yeah.
You made a great reference earlier, Benny, to the museum guy, the indigenous dude that ran the local museum. And I think he was really the fulcrum of the whole thing. I agree that his comment really crystallized my viewpoint where, he's talking about like habituating bears to humans, then they think humans are safe, and the unspoken boundary, it was just like, yes, that's exactly what I think, like it was interesting.
No, I think the whole story begins and ends with that guy and that comment, because he's exactly spot on. Sorry, Ben.
I was just going to say that it's interesting how all the people interviewed in this, like the different points of view, there were like his girlfriends and his friends that really sort of seemed to be like under his spell. They really sort of seemed to be, captivated by Timothy Treadwell and seemed to see something really special in him, and then there was like the pilot that had the Sam Elliott mustache, and he was sort of more sympathetic towards him than the other pilot who was who made the whole thing like into some political rant. It was just interesting to see all the different points of view towards Treadwell and what he was doing.
Definitely, it's a good example of a charismatic person. People get moth to flame style attracted to charismatic people, and there definitely seemed to be a lot of attraction from men and women in terms of his charisma. He was such an oddball of a dude, but I think
You mean Treadwell.
Yeah, I think your comment very early, Kev, alludes to how, if you've ever read a news article of something that you were involved in, it's always wrong. Like, so no matter what you try and do to distill the 13 years worth of work down into an hour-long movie, it's always going to be inaccurate, or you're always not going to be able to tell the whole story. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if the like dedication and passion for Treadwell that his friends brought and that feeling of kind of admiration was because like the narrative Herzog really attached to in the found footage didn't really match up with the actual person. So I definitely feel like have your early comments about how, Herzog's layer kind of colors the whole thing. I think that it ties in really well with Benny with what you're saying about his friends being super stoked about him. Mm-hmm. But the Bears, man, it's what the Bears were thinking that matters. Just ask the pilot. Just ask Mr. Chocolate.
Yeah. Old Sergeant Chocolate was probably thinking he should have taken a shit before he got involved in a scrap.
Yeah, he kind of had a bit of an accident, hey? That bear fight scene was pretty intense, man. It's kind of the thing you see in like a Attenborough documentary, but it's just Treadwell standing a couple hundred meters away watching this gigantic bear fight. Like, that's pretty crazy, man. The dude, whether he was dumb or had balls of steel, like the fact that he's just standing down the way from a massive attack between two gigantic grizzlies, like, that's fucking bananas. And then he's just hanging out in the aftermath. It's like a machine roto-tilled the ground. This is amazing. Okay, bro.
Yeah, it's a scene like that makes you think, wow, it's kind of a wonder he didn't get killed sooner.
Seriously. I had forgotten the 13-year thing. It totally changed my kind of perspective.
That's a long time. What else? What else about this film?
The minute the movie opened and started up and you see Timothy Treadwell, I couldn't stop thinking to myself that this really, I don't know, maybe cynical side of myself just really wants to see Wes Anderson make a parody of this movie. And I think Owen Wilson was really born to play Timothy Treadwell.
Dude, that would be so good. Oh, man, I'm with you. Whenever Treadwell was playing with the Foxes, it was the same. I was like thinking Wes Anderson's Fantastic Mr. Fox. So I'm with you all the way on this. It would almost be perfect because like a Herzog view of this dude's footage and then a Wes Anderson view, it's like two completely different ends of the spectrum, but it almost fits perfectly.
You could almost do something like, The Life Aquatic or whatever.
Oh, exactly. I knew. I thought that's what you were sort of.
It's got a kind of a Moonrise Kingdom vibe going for a bit there.
I'm going to throw this in here. I think Willem Dafoe should play the part of the Herzog documentarian.
Oh God, yes.
Oh my God, yes. Oh man, a Wes Anderson movie that's a movie about Herzog filming like it's a fictional version where Treadwell doesn't film his own stuff, but it's a Herzog in the woods with him.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
That's a movie I want to see right there.
I am so on board with this.
So like the whole time I was watching this documentary, that sort of vision was there, like coloring things a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And Bill Murray can play like a park ranger that kind of harasses them throughout the film or something.
Yes, absolutely.
Ranger Bill.
Yeah. And then you'd have to get Sam Elliott in as the pilot, I think, even though it's not Wes Anderson-y.
Oh, dude. He has to be the pilot. Well, I only have 4 notes on this film, and one of them is that Willy's mustache is a 10.
It is, man. It's pretty epic.
Right? Benny, wouldn't you agree?
Which is which? I thought the dude with the impressive mustache was Sam Egley.
No, that's the guy. That's the angry guy standing in front of the hangar. The Willy,
The dude with the yellow seaplane.
I think his last name was Fulton. Yeah, he was the guy that had the mustache. I was gonna save this for its own separate section, but I guess we can kind of do it now.
The mustache segment.
The mustache segment that we've been trying to shoehorn into the show for like 2 months.
For months now.
Steak and mustaches.
It's not an easy one.
No, it's not.
But it's worth it.
Well, let's just take a second and unpack this for a second. Let's just talk about this guy's mustache for a minute.
You're really taking a second to unpack it, huh?
This guy, Willy Fulton, was the seaplane pilot that ferried Timothy in and out of these places. And this guy, I wouldn't say that his mustache rivals Sam Elliott's, but if there is a mustache pantheon, this guy is definitely in it. He's really got, Ben, he's really got the stash kicking out. Like it's kicking out really far off to the sides of his lip. And I really like it. It's got a good push broom factor. I'll give it a push broom factor of 7. It's thick and full. I'll give that a factor of 8. I mean, obviously all stashes sort of by default get compared to Sam Elliott's because that's the best one. Maybe him and Brimley, right?
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he really took inspiration from Sam Elliott on this one. That's probably why there's a bit of a connection there.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I feel like,
go ahead.
I feel like Willy Fulton has a sort of a, if you took like, Tom Selleck and Wilford Brimley and Sam Elliott and maybe, Jamie from Mythbusters, and you threw all those guys into a shaker and shook them up, the mustache that would come out at the end
would be one.
What Willy Fulton has. Yeah, it's got. See, now I would be all about growing the horizontal acreage because that's dope, and I think I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I could never stand having it come down over my top lip. The horizontal acreage is just it's a no-do. Can't do it.
No, you're saying the horizontal. Sorry. No, the horizontal acreage you could do. I mean, the vertical acreage is what would annoy you. Yes. I totally agree. I mean, as I am also rocking a stash right now, I just kind of let mine get a little out of hand, and it got a little bit over my lip, and it was just driving me mental, man, for like 4 days.
And are you guys talking about like the in the coffee, in the soup kind of thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Which is just gross, man.
Yeah. The constantly trying to get your food or drink out of it. Yeah.
And that, I mean, if there's one drawback to having a stash or a beard, really, it's just the food. It's just nasty, dude.
Well, we need to come up with a good rating system for the steak and mustaches segments.
No, I agree, man. I hear tell there's a legend that when you returned from your Appalachian journey, Chad, you had some kind of epic stash.
I had a full patchy. Well, there were some lady friends that I met on the trail that called my beard a patchy vag face because it's a little patchy at times. But I had a gigantic patchy beard.
It's quite a handle.
Oh, dude, yeah, it was quite funny. There's a little anecdote where they gave me a hard time about having a patchy vag face, and then I pulled into a next of kin style shithole Pennsylvania town and pulled up to a seat at a bar. And at this bar, the bartender was like, "Are you McBride?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I got something for you." And I was like, "All right, man." And he pulls this box out and he hands it to me. And these girls had left me a tropical breeze scented douche to douche my patchy vag face with. I shit you not, like this guy just like picked me out of the crowd, and I ended up.
It was like a Jamaican Me Happy flavor, or more.
Yeah.
It was definitely a Jamaican. Yeah, it was. And I ended up mailing there's this thing called a bounce box that you can do when you're hiking the trail, where you can kind of mail a box of shit to the next town up, so you can bounce it ahead of you and like put stuff in it that you don't need. And so I stuck this douche in my bounce box, and at the last stop in Maine, I packed it out and hiked it 100 miles through the 100-mile wilderness and sprayed it all over my face at the top of the final mountain. I've got some great photos of it. But I mention this because I shaved the beard, and yes, I did indeed have an epic mustache. I had a 7-inch wax tip-to-tip mustache.
Damn, dude. That whole story about the patchy vag-faced douche was awesome. Even as a long runner-up to the end game, which was the mustache. Wow, that is sick.
And I think, Benny, you and I were hanging out a bit around that time when I got back, and it was like a Halloween thing. I think we were, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you showed up like straight off your dad's plane.
At the bar, smelling like a homeless person.
Smelling and looking like you had stepped out of, I don't know, maybe, you didn't have the right clothes, but the facial hair and the smell made me feel like you just stepped out of a saloon in the 1800s or something. It was
nice.
That kind of a vibe. Yeah.
I like
it. Was pretty, yeah. I definitely had a bit of a hiker funk going on.
It would have been really great as if when you went into that bar and the guy was like, "You McBride," you'd said, "No, I'm Truman Gates." Or even better, Briar. That should have been your trail name, Briar Gates.
You don't get to name yourself on the trail, so I took what I was given.
Oh, it's like, is that kind of the thing? It is kind of like Sergeant.
Yeah,
is it like
the rule is that you have to get a trail name and you don't get to name it yourself.
I know we haven't talked about this because the episode hasn't dropped yet, but kind of like Sergeant Gregorius with the strength names.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Like you start off with 9 nicknames and then you shed them as you go along the trail. So McBride was yours?
Well, I was maybe teased isn't the right word, but let's just use it for the sake of humor. I was teased that I look a lot like Danny McBride from Eastbound and Down, so I was named McBride.
Oh shit. You do a little bit.
Yeah, I've definitely had my McBride moments.
Fun nugget. My brother went to school with him.
Oh yeah, he's a funny dude.
Yeah, my brother went to film school, and he's not a director now, but all his buddies in school went on to do some big stuff, like Danny McBride.
There you go. So that's my mustache story.
Yeah.
Patchy vag face, douchebag mustache story. But my 7-inch tip-to-tip mustache doesn't hold a candle to this pilot's mustache. It's pretty epic. I think the fact that it's a white mustache really seals the deal for me. That's really like bonus points for me.
Mm.
Yes. It's
that's the Brimley, maybe.
Go ahead, sorry.
I think it also gets points because it's a good shape for his face.
Mm.
Yes. There's all of these things are important when you're talking about a stash. And Ben, I think what you just said right there. Go ahead, sorry.
I was just saying these are the criteria for, judging a good mustache.
Well, no, they are. And I think that what you just said, that one in particular is super important. Like the stash has to fit your face. Like there was a dork on Nantucket that I saw who was kind of trying to grow out like a twirly mustache wax mustache, and it didn't fit him. It didn't really fit his face. It didn't really fit his thing. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
maybe I'm saying or positing that in the world of mustaches, that criterion is almost as important as anything else, if not more important. Is does the stash fit your face and your whole vibe?
It's as important as whether you can grow a good one in the first place.
Well, yes, that's important too.
You really have to ask yourself the question, you might want, a curly handlebar mustache, but does the curly handlebar mustache want you?
God damn it, dude. You are so freaking deep, man. That's what I love about you, bro.
I think that's for me the major factor with my novelty mustache post hiking was it was just novelty. Like I rocked it for a week because it just didn't fit, and I knew it didn't fit, and it was more just for funsies, and so like that's why it's got an asterisk next to it,
Fair enough, but that
I'm totally okay with that.
Okay, with Chad, that comment brings up another important point. Okay, and this is something we touched on in another context on the show. We were joking around about, the nuggets, and you were saying like it doesn't matter what you say. If you say it confidently and you sell it, it's fine.
Sure.
Right? So my comment on your comment is that even though it was a quote novelty mustache, like you were committed to it and you were committed to wearing it and fully rocking it. So that legitimizes it, in my opinion, more than like the guy that I just described,
Fair enough.
Well, there is a layer of commitment to growing a mustache for sure. It's kind of like bonsai. You have to start growing, and you gotta.
I love it.
You gotta let the mustache tell you how it wants to be. And
you do, man. You cannot just arbitrarily shave a stash and be like, this is what I want. Like the hair on your face doesn't work that way. It's like you got to let the mustache guide you.
To further explore this cul-de-sac, which probably needs to come to an end soon.
Definitely.
Do you guys groom your own mustaches, or are your mustaches groomed by others? Like a barber proceeding, sir.
Well, I don't technically have a mustache right now, so.
When you had a mustache.
I mean, I have it. It's just that there's more than just the mustache right now.
Right. Facial hair, I mean.
Like sort of beard if you were. But
is it a barber proceed, sir, or is it a you take care of your own facial hair thing when you're rocking it full force?
No, nobody touches my facial hair but me.
Ditto with me. I mean, I would consider at the right men's barbershop allowing someone to do such, but they would have to be a master. And I would have to know that their skill is absolute. So, no, nobody touches my stash. I've cultivated it. I care for it myself. I did a lot of research on mustache combs and beard brushes a while ago. Jarhigo and I had a pretty lengthy conversation about that. Probably too lengthy. But
just like this conversation.
Yeah,
exactly. And well, this is a segment. This is Steak and Mustaches now. So I actually, when I was visiting my mother-in-law, I found that the place where she worked sold Kent mustache combs. So I have a mustache comb for my stash.
Hog's hair?
No, it's not one of those. It's plastic, but they hand cut the combs and they polish them as well. So you don't get the comb snag and hairs pulled out and so forth. Like they're really great.
That's great.
You can feel the difference.
All right on, dude. I love this segment. All right, we got to move
I
on.
I'm doing this because I'm doing this because I'm feeling it, and because I know that you'll find it funny and weird, chat. And that's okay. It's good. It's hopefully good show content. We'll see what happens. How I feel in the edit.
Yeah, there you go.
Now that we've breached the topic, I would be interested actually to go to like an old timey barber and get the straight razor shave and get the mustache trim and maybe get some nice salves and unguents and products recommended to moisturize and tonics, as it were, to sort of keep the mustache healthy and
I did that yesterday.
Yes,
really,
I did. Yeah.
Are you? Why do you have a beard now?
I've been rocking a beard for the last 5 months or so, and this lovely lady at a barbershop nearby did a full trim up, a straight razor to the neck, and beard oil massage afterwards. It was quite nice.
Nice, dude. I would really be into perhaps like a mustache unguent of some kind to condition. Is similar to a beard balm. I had a friend, he was another Nantucket guy that left, that he was developing his own beard balm because he's got a lustrous beard.
A fucking Viking beard.
But I just real quick for the folks at home that
for the folks at home that have turned the show off.
For the folks at home that have turned the show off, we haven't seen each other in years. We never see each other. So if you're thinking it's weird why we're asking each other these questions,
that's why
we never see each other.
Yeah, we're not all sitting in the same room, sadly.
I'm working on a teleportation system so we can all hang out.
Yeah, man, Farcasters.
I don't know if I want to have to rely on the void which binds.
Not considering how many times it drops us out and we die on the show.
It's already been pretty dodgy.
Wow, that's a great stash, Ben.
You guys sharing photos
that?
now?
I just
Sorry,
sent a photo of a young Werner Herzog with
Oh yeah,
with a mustache because it's
Oh, Jesus, dude, nice tie together.
has to be we had to we had to bring it back to the subject at hand.
we need
somehow.
to bring this fucker back.
Okay, well, I was trying to wrap the segment up by saying let's quickly rate his mustache. But this right now is throwing a bit of a wrench in the works because this is just beautiful, man. I mean,
It's a nice stash.
that
man.
is a really, yeah, it is. It's a really nice stash. It's full, it's thick, it's very Sam Elliott-esque.
I was going to say I'm getting very Selleck vibes from him in this photo.
Yeah, me too. I'm getting Selleck vibes.
Well, I am too, and I think it's because of the era, clearly, that this photo was taken. But I feel like Selleck's mustache takes a little more horizontal acreage, Ben, and that's why I'm sort of feeling a more kind of Sam Elliott vibe.
Well, I'm just
No?
looking at the picture and seeing the hair and everything. I'm just getting a Selleck vibe from him. Not necessarily just the mustache, but it's almost, what this photo says to me? It says, my wife has a crush on Tom Selleck, so I grew a mustache for her.
Exactly. Yeah. It kind of says to me that like the dude's in East Germany and someone smuggled in a Betamax tape and he watched it and fell in love with Selleck and then dressed like him.
It had to be a Betamax too, totally.
It's total Betamax.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling both of you, man. Great comments. I really like the stash is beautiful, like the feathering in the hair, like it's just sexy, it's lethal, it's awesome.
It's like an episode for Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. I fucking love it.
Whatever. Hey, you know what? We don't discriminate here on the podcast.
No, man.
Hetero
whatever.
macho 70s version, yeah.
Yeah, hetero macho.
Yeah,
That's
man.
what we're talking, man.
I'm
We're
down.
in touch. Hey, you know what? I'm in touch, and so is Jarhigo. I'm not ashamed of it.
Oh, same.
I'm currently rocking a what do we just call it? A hetero what? Hetero.
Yeah, the good
Hetero macho?
Chad said queer eye, and I was like, yeah, but in a more of a hetero macho 70s kind of way.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm my current stash situation is a hetero macho 70s situation. Just because as we've gone through COVID, the haircuts and so forth. I had shaved all my hair off at one point, and then I grew a beard that really irritated me. And I was like, I'm going to kick it 70s style for a while. So I carved out some big old pork chops and a nice handlebar stash. And just to your comment about I think, going back to the barbershops for 1 second, I think that I think that we should somehow in the future when we're all closer together or whatever, but we need to have a barbershop that's called the old-timey barbershop that does that exact thing. The place I used to go to in town, or I guess I still go there, I did have him do a straight razor shave on my face, on my whole face. And it was
The only person that's allowed to cut anyone's hair in our barbershop is Arsenio Hall in makeup.
Wait, what? Oh, gee.
That would be a good barbershop. The Arsenio and Eddie Murphy and old guy makeup.
The Mighty Sharp.
Just going on and on about Cassius Clay.
I would totally go to that barbershop.
I would too, man.
And thus concludes Steak and Mustaches.
And thus, well, hold on. Let's just rate. Can we just rate his stash real quick? What? It's important. I've already given some numbers on various different characteristics.
Who of the 53 people we've spoken about are we rating right now? Willie Horton or whatever, Willie whatever?
Yeah, Willie Fulton. Willie Fulton's mustache. That is where we started. That's where we're going to end it. I'm going to give that stash a 10. I think it was right for his face. It was well groomed, dialed in. It was clean. I like it. Ben?
It's clearly a 10, man. That is a shining example of a mustache right there. That's dedication. It's an artistic touch. It's good. It's a good mustache.
Done.
In honor of one bite pizza reviews in the algorithm, there's no such thing as a 10 because what happens if you see a butter mustache? So I'll give this one a 9.5.
Nice.
I kind of feel like I couldn't possibly even tie this with Sam Elliott's mustache. Like Sam Elliott's mustache is a better mustache, but
It is a better mustache, and so is Brimley's.
I think you're just biased to Sam Elliott.
maybe
Well,
it's a good
nothing
person to
wrong
be
with
biased
that.
towards.
No, definitely. And I think that if Elliot and Brimley, like they both have 11s. You know what I mean?
There you go. There you go.
And that concludes Steak and Mustaches.
That concludes our entire episode on mustaches in the middle of our other episode on Grizzly.
Hey, who thought this wouldn't be a funny episode?
And for what it's worth, I think Herzog gets a good solid 8 for his mustache.
Yeah,
And
man,
for
that's
what
definitely.
It's worth, I think he should still have it. You know, I don't know why he shaved it.
I agree, dude. I agree with everything you just said. In fact, I will echo your 8. It could possibly be higher, but I'll stick with the 8. And yeah, he should currently rock a stash. I mean, the guy's 78. He needs to.
He should grow it back, you know?
Well, we should tweet at him. We should send him a tweet that he should grow it back.
Life is short. Let's get a hashtag going.
Dude, life is short, especially when you're a fucking nihilist, man.
I believe the common denominator of the universe is not harmony, but chaos, hostility, and murder.
Murder.
Here is where I disagree with Treadwell.
Your Herzog is strong today, man.
It's a little. It's not bad. I'm feeling pretty good about it.
It's good. It's much stronger than mine.
Thank you.
Just go with the Booberry Lambert. It's close enough, right?
Ooh, I like that, man.
There was a little bit of
I wish I had the line written down. I don't have it.
Betty just said it
Should've
to
wrote
you.
it down.
I believe the common denominator of the universe is not harmony, but chaos, hostility, and murder.
Yeah, Booberry is so close. I believe the common denominator of the universe is not harmony, but chaos, hostility, and murder.
This is where I disagree with Treadwell.
Or really, it should be chaos. If it's Booberry, it should be chaos, hostility, and marbits.
Ooh! too many funny things landing at the same time.
That's it.
Chaos, hostility, and marbits.
God damn, we're off on a fucking tear here. I want to drop a nugget here because it's ridiculous and it has nothing to do with this movie.
Oh, yeah, definitely, because we need more things that have nothing to do with this movie.
Well, it has to do with Herzog. in my readings.
Oh, well, that has to do with this movie.
It actually has something tangentially related to this movie where he was doing the promotion for the movie after the fact, and he was in LA being interviewed by a dude with the BBC from the BBC. And while they were talking, a crazy dude with an air rifle shot Werner Herzog while being interviewed. And he just like the interviewer panicked, and then he just calmly said, "Someone is shooting us." And one of the pellets hit Herzog and left like a softball-sized welt on him. And he said, "The bullet is not a significant one," and insisted on continuing the interview. And then, right, 2 days later, like the dude's about as fucking metal as it gets. 2 days later, in LA, Joaquin Phoenix was in a car accident on a winding road in a canyon, and his vehicle flipped over. Shaken and confused, he heard a tap on his window, and a voice said, "Just relax." Unable to see the man, Phoenix replied, "I'm fine, I'm relaxed." And when he managed to see the man, it was Werner Herzog, who then said, "No, you're not," and then helped Phoenix out of the wreckage. Herzog phoned for an ambulance and then vanished.
That is legendary. What?
These are those legendary stories I was talking about.
Yeah, man, the guy's amazing.
Yeah, clearly that is legendary. I get it. Now I get it. That is some lore right there. Wow.
That's why we're talking about this ridiculous movie, is because he's a legend.
That's true. And I love the part of the story where it's, and he vanished. You know, like he really is some sort of kind of nihilistic, bizarre superhero.
Dude, he's like the Loch Ness Monster. He just fucking disappeared.
Love it. I love how amused Jarhigo is too. That's giving me a lot of pleasure.
It's pretty funny, man. I just love that he just got shot and didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, going back to my couple of notes very related to what we're talking about with Herzog.
That was the time I donated a kidney to a complete stranger.
On the side of the road. One of my notes was just talking about, I know you're going to love this, Chad, Treadwell's page boy haircut. I thought we could spend some time on that.
Dude, that
Prince Valiant.
That hairdo, man, I'll tell you what.
Him and He-Man.
Oh, he totally has a fucking He-Man. Thank you.
Oh, my God. Same as He-Man.
Dude, that like completes me. I was searching in my mind for what the fuck was going on, and I have recently been watching He-Man with my 3-year-old, and that is perfect.
Nice. I did not even think about He-Man, dude.
I just kept waiting for him to start singing.
The power of Grayskull. Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking more, hey, what's going on?
That is just perfect. I love that.
Wait a second. Did I miss something?
Yeah, we talked about it recently. You need to watch this because this is the perfect example of a video that you will watch 740 times in true Mulberry fashion.
Well, then, by all means, send it forth.
I've already sent it to you guys, but I'll send it again.
Send it again. Dude, his hair, Kev, thank you, that's perfect, is just so... It's the character in the goddamn movie. And I loved the scene, speaking of Herzog meeting and finding the weirdest people and then getting the weirdest stories out of them. Treadwell's girlfriend, who was telling the story of being a serving wench at a fucking Ren Fair restaurant and lighting a cart on fire or whatever, was just fucking hilarious.
The exploding soup story.
Yeah, and he was a squire or some shit. Like, fuck me. You just can't make this shit up.
No, you can't. And I thought it was like strangely coincidental that he had that hair, worked at a Ren Fair restaurant, and then decided to keep the hair and go out into the wild with it. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean?
But I loved how, like, yes, exactly. And then, like, one of his buddies, the LA actor, was like, yeah, he had a receding hairline and he grew it down so you wouldn't see his 5 head. And I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too. I thought it was weird that he commented on that. And I wasn't really seeing that. Like, I started looking for that after that guy mentioned that. And I wasn't really getting that he was doing a comb down, as it were.
His buddy was saying how well it hid his receding hairline. Like, even like he would be out surfing in the water and somehow, like, when he'd come out of the water, he would still have it perfectly down like that. So
that's weird.
If his buddy is correct, then he was doing a very good job of hiding it. Therefore, you would not detect it. But to be clear, I would say that the haircut probably led to the job at the Renaissance restaurant more than the other way around.
Definitely a factor. Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, he kind of had the chip tooth Jim Carrey Dumb and Dumber thing going on a little bit too. A little bit.
Yeah. Who's the actor? God damn it. I'm dead.
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels could be another great version of Treadwell for sure.
There you go. Yeah, maybe more precisely.
Yeah, a little more accurate. The Owen Wilson thing was more of a just because Wes Anderson.
I'm totally down with Owen Wilson. Yeah, maybe Jeff Daniels can play Treadwell's dad in like the cut across scenes and stuff. It'd be Jeff Daniels and like Angelica Houston or something.
I like it.
That scene with Treadwell's mom and dad was really kind of funny. There was like he fell apart after losing the spot on Cheers to Woody Harrelson. It was just like fucking bullshit, but it was just perfect.
Well, how do you know that wasn't true?
I don't, but it's just like I want it to. I don't know. It's one of those stories that you tell your friends where like he auditioned for the role or like he saw the role in the newspaper and was like, I should go do that, and then didn't. But then over the years, his story has changed into like he came in second place. You know how people kind of like embellish, you know? It just kind of felt like an embellished story that you would tell your dad who is disappointed with you.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when actors talk about, having a few projects in development.
Yeah.
Like, I have many projects in development, and by that I mean that they're really great ideas for other shows.
It's like 4 sentences on a hard drive somewhere.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Exactly.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt here, but like, I kind of find it funnier, assuming it was just a super embellished story.
Yeah, I get it. I guess I kind of wanted that to be true because I wanted him to
not be a knucklehead.
I don't know. Whatever. I'm probably just It's
fair. It's fair. You do. I wouldn't say you root for the guy, but you just like. You're like, please don't be some crazy ass Tiger King guy. Like, please just be like,
exactly,
a troubled person trying to find themselves and not just a complete jackass.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
What is?
That is a troubled person trying to find himself rather than being just a total, maybe a bit of a jackass, but not a total jackass.
Yeah, not a Tiger King. That dude, man, Jesus,
not at that level.
Can we please talk about the poop scene?
Sure. I was going to say, let's start moving this in the direction of closing the door. We can.
I think the poop scene and like him getting killed is pretty much all that's left, really, isn't it?
No, that's what I mean. Like, let's move in that direction. I mean, yeah, the poop scene was.
I just forgotten about the poop scene, and I just was whatever 3/4 of the way through the movie, and he's just starts rubbing fresh bear shit and being excited about it, and it was just the strangest fucking thing.
And why would you do that not having any way to wash your hands? There's a gripe of Kev for you. I didn't think one would make it into this film, but it just did. No, really. I mean, like, you're out there, you don't have wipes, you don't have any hand sanitizer, you don't have any kind of soap. I mean, maybe he did, I don't know, back at the camp, but certainly not on him. Why would you touch poop like that? I mean, I don't know. Doesn't add up.
I love that it's a gripe of Kev.
I mean, he was near a stream. He at least could have like dipped his hand in and rinsed it off afterwards, but he didn't.
Well, that too, Ben. Or find some sand or dirt and just, kind of wash your hands with the dirt and then put them in the water, to get that poop off of there, man.
And what do you think he was getting at there? Like, why do you think it was a sexual thing? Do you think it was like...
Chad's like, let's really unpack this.
No, I'm curious what you think about it.
I really don't know, but I think it showcases the level of obsession that was going on there,
Yes.
Like, he was just so... I don't know if it was in a sexual way, but he was so in love with the bears and so obsessed with the bears that, that was just a way for him to feel closer.
Yeah.
I guess, but man, yeah, definitely. I mean, he even addresses it himself.
Yeah, he's like, this bizarre. Is weird, but I'm going to keep rubbing this fresh piece of shit.
Yeah. And maybe he doesn't wash his hand because he just, wants the smell to linger so he can feel close to his she-bear friend.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So weird.
That was weird. Yeah, the whole thing was weird. I don't know. Just
It's not perverted, though.
No, it's not perverted. It was just this kind of communing with nature kind of thing taken to a level that it probably didn't need to go to.
The word obsessed, I think, Benny, is a good choice.
And, a clear choice by Herzog to include that.
You kind of have to, don't you? If you ran across that, you would be like, oh, well, that's fucking staying in.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people might not. But there's something very, maybe it was like not so much the inclusion of it, but the placement of it,
Right.
Because it definitely sticks out at you. It's just sort of like abrupt.
Well, not only that, but as I said, either in the pregame or the beginning of the show, we get the poop and then we get what's Jarhigo's and my favorite line about the hostility and the murder. And then right after that, we get the screaming in the tent rain dance.
When you're by yourself in the wilderness like that, you tend to go a little stir crazy. So like, I have some sympathy for him freaking out, but at the same time, it was like, bro,
I'm not knocking him. I'm not.
I'm half knocking him. It was just like, bro, come on. But
okay, fine, yeah, a little bit, but like, I don't know. I've spent a lot of time alone. I used to work alone outside every day, and it'll start. Just weird things will start to happen. You'll start doing things you won't even realize it, like talking to yourself all the time,
This is a great. When I was watching this and Herzog kept talking, I kept wanting Herzog to read the Grievo lines from Kids in the Hall, and you saying you spent a lot of time alone. made me think of that. Like, sometimes it's dark.
Sometimes it's dark. Sometimes I go to work. Hold on, everybody. I want to talk about happiness for a minute.
So, I don't know.
They say there's a new drug that can make you happy. And I say, fuck happy.
Exactly. So, I don't know. The dude going stir crazy, it's a pretty ridiculous scene, to be fair. But I have some sympathy.
Also, if left to his own devices, a lot of this stuff would have been on the cutting room floor, in terms
Definitely.
of, what he would have shared with the public. So it's,
Yeah, and to that end, Ben, I would love to see a Treadwell cut of all the footage. Like what would he have chosen to use?
Mm.
I think there is such a thing.
Might be.
Really?
Yeah, I think there is out there somewhere. Or at least there's a version of, all of his footage that's put together less as a piece about him and more of, like what he intended the footage to be.
It's interesting that you say that too, because for us recording ourselves, it is obviously nice to be able to have control over what you choose to share and cut. When you say dumb shit, you can just cut it out. Except when Kev cuts shit that he doesn't want to share and I put it back in because I'm a dick. But I kind of get it. I'm the Herzog of the show on occasion.
Do you guys want to talk about his demise for a second? Or
yeah, man.
The only thing I really have to say was that I actually thought that for like a minute or two that they were going to play the audio that the camera got when they were dying. And I was like, man, are they going to play that? That would be really intense, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just the way it was described, a mean, hungry bear getting a hold of you like that is just, I don't know. It was scary. It was gruesome and it was scary. And I thought that they were going to play the audio for a minute. And I was wondering if I could even handle listening to that. That's all I got, really.
That whole scene where Herzog is sitting there with Jewel Palavac listening to that. And, that he tells her afterwards, like, you should never listen to this. In fact, I think you should probably get rid of it. All of that. It's just like, I'm like, I want Werner Herzog to show up like when, something really bad happens for him to just sort of like go in and survey and then be like, don't go in there.
Totally.
This is too grim for anyone to see. You should not. You are close to these people.
You're not metal enough to hear this.
You are not metal enough to go in that room.
I thought that the way that he handled it was I don't know, for lack of a better term, masterful. Like,
yeah,
you think that he's going to play it because he's so fucking metal, and then it's him listening and being disturbed, but the camera's over his shoulder and just like right on Jewel, and she's kind of like, her emotions throughout that are really interesting because she's like trying to hold it together and then has this like burst of emotion, and it was just such a crazy and almost a perfect way to kind of explore that.
Yeah.
I do remember being in the theater and there was like an electricity of like, you kind of want, like the voyeur in you kind of wants to hear some of it, but the whole time you're like, no, please no, so it's an interesting kind of tension.
Agreed. Well said, Chad.
Yeah, it's like the monster movie where you never actually see the monster.
Yeah, exact, perfectly.
Somehow that's scarier.
That's a perfect
analogy. Yeah, that scene is really intense. I believe that was the point where I was fully shocked. I mean, I'd already begun to be shocked out of it, but I was fully shocked out of my Wes Anderson parody movie Reverie by that point.
Yeah. My because I think it's apt to have nothing in the nugget section. My last nugget here is related to this, where I saw an interview with Herzog where he spoke recently in the last maybe, I don't know, 5 years or whatever, saying that Jewel didn't end up taking his advice to destroy the tape, but removed herself physically from the tape and has it in a safe deposit box. So I thought it was kind of an interesting follow-up to his recommendation to her, because he's like, I told her to destroy it and I regret telling her that, and she was smart enough not to. So it was just kind of an interesting reflection.
Yeah, very much so.
And it's kind of weird to have a tape of your ex-boyfriend being mauled by a bear, but
yeah, I guess. I mean, it happens. So, I don't know. I can't really comment on that, but
yeah, it's not something you I guess I could see, because it's somehow part of him wanting to keep it, but still never wanting to listen to it, you know, if that makes sense. It's like an artifact from somebody's life that you know,
Like the watch.
you know, like keeping. Yeah, sure. Exactly. I could see keeping it locked away somewhere for that purpose.
So it's an intense movie, but
No,
interesting.
it's definitely intense. I mean, I wanted to. There's two Herzog lines. I don't know if we're at this part of the show yet or not.
We're at this part of the show.
Yeah, do it.
Are we?
Yeah.
There's two Herzog lines that I did write down that were not as good as the one that Ben wrote down, but definitely up there. They are. To me, there is no such thing as a secret world of the bears. I loved when he said that. And then my other favorite, which is even better than that, is seemingly empty moments had a strange secret beauty.
Dude, I love that scene. I was just
Yeah.
going to say that's one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
No, it was great. It was a great line too, and just funny because, you know, Herzog. But
It's interesting though, because like the moment he says that and the footage has Treadwell out of the scene, it like
it does.
magnifies the power of the emptiness of that scene. Like it's just, it really is
and
just perfect.
And the emptiness of the space.
Yeah.
I think my favorite Herzog line from this is, Grief Karga told me you'd be coming.
Dude, he was so perfect in that fucking show, man. Like, I love that our Herzog obsession, or at least my Herzog obsession, is like connected to our nerdy show via fucking client in The Mandalorian and his love for Baby Yoda.
It's our obsession. I think we're all obsessed with it. I don't think we would be doing this particular podcast right now if we hadn't discovered and become obsessed with Herzog in The Mandalorian. Really.
Yeah. The wonder of Herzog.
The wonder.
I do have something that Herzog says in this continually that I just love the way he says it, and it's I'm to be clear, I'm not being light about this because I think the real tragedy of this documentary, you know, it's tragic that Treadwell gets killed, but in a way, you know, he died doing what he loved. But the fact that his girlfriend Amy Huguenard was out there with him,
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
was really fucking awful.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
But that being said, there's something about the way Werner Herzog says Amy Huguenard that just
I get it, man. I get it.
Yeah.
That poor person, man. Like, let's just fucking talk about putting yourself in a bad situation and having it go all wrong.
Yeah, that's the real tragedy of this.
Yeah, no doubt. And the fact that it's like, you know, he's like Timothy Treadwell's girlfriend, Amy Huguenard, who was terrified of bears. It's just like,
Yeah.
what a fucking dick for putting her in that situation, man.
Yeah, I don't understand why he put her in that situation. Or she put herself in, or both. Whatever.
Convinced her to join him, maybe is a way to put it. But
Yeah. Just not a smart idea. I mean, it was already, you know, questionable whether he should be there in the first place. But bringing somebody that, you know, doesn't have that fervor for bears, probably not the best idea.
And to be crystal clear, you know, there's no any sort of anything that we said that sounded like turning her into a pure victim and not a person who made her own decisions, like, was not intended. Like, I feel like him convincing her to go along or whatever is maybe the
fact that she just ended up in that situation, you know, however it went down is awful. But also, I think I could probably just listen to Werner Herzog read names.
Yeah, man. Yeah, fair enough.
That'd be great.
He's kind of one of those people that you want to like pay the money for that service where he like does your voicemail message or something.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Or like Sam Jackson reading "Go the Fuck to Sleep." Like I'd like to have recordings of him reading children's books so I could play it for my kid.
Be cool. I'll record one if you want.
Okay.
There you go. You have to diverge and say that you disagree with something at some point and get really dark and then go back to the story.
This is bullshit.
See, this is where I disagree, that sleeping is really more akin to death. It's like dying every night.
It's the little
You never know if you're actually going to wake up in the morning. We just believe that we're going to.
Good night, Timmy. I'll see you in the morning, Timmy. Maybe.
I think that, Ben, that might be the opening quote of the show. I'm crafting something in my head. Nuggets, deaths, ratings?
Well, our nuggets are emptiness, just like the purpose of the world.
True. Do you have any other nuggets besides the emptiness nuggets?
No, man. Like I said, I dropped them early, so it's just a void. It's just a gaping wound.
Yeah, you sniped my nugget, but I did find another one that I was.
But you're not allowed to
semi-interesting
say it though, because we don't have any nuggets, right?
I think you should step back from our nugget section so that we might enjoy the strange beauty of the silence that intervenes.
Maybe we should start a new segment called Anecdotes. Do you have any anecdotes, Kev? So that the nuggets section can remain empty?
It's a new segment. Welcome to Anecdotes with Kev. The anecdote is that Herzog, in addition to all the other appearances he's made, and this is relevant because we've talked about it a bunch recently, is that he was in an episode of Rick and Morty, which I did not realize.
Which one?
And now I want to go back and watch it. It was a season 2 episode. Hang on one second. I'm going to have to eject and die to get this.
I decided to get involved in the Rick and Morty show. It really speaks to the strangeness and vastness of the universe and the absurdity of human life.
The multitude of Ricks and Mortys.
Rick and Morty Season 2, Episode 8, Interdimensional Cable 2, Tempting Fate, which was a great episode. The interdimensional cable episodes are awesome.
Oh, is that when they're on the TV box? Yeah.
Yeah, they're just basically watching TV, like what's on all over.
I want to watch Ball Fondlers so bad.
Yeah. What's that? Ball Fondlers? Is that what you said?
Ball Fondlers, yeah. It's like the intergalactic version of the A-Team.
Totally. You son of a bitch. I'm in. All right, so no nuggets. We had a new section called Anecdotes with Kev. There you have it. And deaths. What do we got?
Well, we're all going to die, Kev, so.
That's very, very Herzog of you.
This show is pointless. We all begin dying the moment that we are born.
Well, you've definitely got his, the zen of his philosophy of murder down. All right, so we don't have a ton of deaths for this show, but we do have some. Ben received no deaths.
Oh, no, I died.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I ejected twice to look stuff up. Once we didn't call it an ejection death, so we'll scrap that one. But I ejected to get that mustache photo of Herzog, and nobody said anything about it.
Oh, that's
right.
Oh,
a worthy death. Right. Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so there you have it. We scratched one, but you ejected on the mustache photo. Chad, you got a Daco death for describing what Dacos are. And then you mentioned Dacos again, which gave you another Daco death. I had an ejection death on Herzog, and then just now an ejection death on Rick and Morty. So nothing spectacular. No flaming planes, flying into mountainsides or anything like that. But
did the Star Wars references count in this?
Oh, yeah, they kind of did.
Did we reference Star Wars?
Yeah, we talked Mandalorian a bit.
Oh shit!
We should take a group Star Wars death for that. I think.
Yeah, we'll call it a group one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did when I first saw Baby Yoda, it made me cry.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, we did talk about Mando quite a bit. You're right.
Yeah. I also did the grief cargo line a couple times.
Oh my god, what an egregious! You know what? I'm going to give us a secondary death for such an egregious oversight.
So that rounds it out nicely.
Sorry, folks.
I'm sorry. You're welcome.
Yes.
Yeah, that was poor. Ratings. I'm really curious to see how this goes.
I don't actually have any ratings for documentaries. I pulled the documentaries out of my algorithm a couple of years back.
Sure, I understand that. Is there some way, Chad, that we might be able to get some sort of secondary algorithm or situation for you that you could use that doesn't involve the algorithm? Really, I mean, for just like a case like this. I mean, this is a perfect example.
What do you mean?
Hey, because you're not tied to anything, this is a perfect opportunity for you to get above 5.
Yeah, there you go, dude.
Right.
What about
there
that?
You go. I wasn't going to give it any sort of a rating other than saying it's I'll say this, it's 14th on my 22 item list of documentaries.
Okay.
Just to throw just to throw some sass out.
It's a 14 out of 22.
Yeah, it's a 14 out of 22. I rate I rate documentaries in fractions.
Dude, that math does not bring it above a 5.
That's
if
true.
It was out of 22 documentaries, it's number 14.
It
still does not bring it up above 5. If it was
it's 7/11ths of a movie.
Right. And if it was anything below an 11, that would bring it above a 5.
It's 7/11ths, dude. That's over half.
7/11ths.
So number 22 is the top, or number 1?
No, number 1 is the top.
All right. So we still our hopes are dashed, Ben. We did not get a higher than 5 rating.
the point being is it's an asinine way to rate something, and I think it's funny to stick with it.
Yeah, it's very sassy and of your namesake, so that works. Jarhigo, what do you think about this?
I think it deserves a parody movie made by Wes Anderson.
I agree fully.
That's what I think.
I'll agree.
Something that you can watch immediately afterward. That's sort of alleviates the existential angst this movie sort of stirs up in you.
Yes.
Something comforting and happy and warm.
Like a good bowl of soup, or rather a good bowl of Quaker oatmeal.
Nice. Hot bowl of Quaker oats.
Yep.
Stick to your ribs.
Make you feel good.
Stick to your mustache.
Sticks to your ribs, sticks to your mustache. Bears love it. Folks, bears love it.
It's interesting that you should say that, Benny, about the Wes Anderson adaptation of the documentary, because Herzog actually has adapted one of his documentaries into a movie.
What?
Both of them are worth checking out. One's called Little Dieter Needs to Fly, and it's about a Nam vet who has a pretty crazy story in the jungles, and they made Rescue Dawn starring Christian Bale. So he directed both, and they're both worth checking out. So they're not fun like a Wes Anderson, but it's really funny that you're talking about adapting a documentary, a doco, if you will.
Did he direct Rescue Dawn?
Yeah, man, he directed both of them. So it turns out you have seen a Herzog movie, Kev.
Oh, no, I still haven't seen that movie, but it does. I didn't realize that he had directed a bunch of feature films as well, like Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, Nolans.
Did a bear just come over the air?
Yeah, that's the lost audio. We're gonna play it because we have no shame.
We're now gonna reenact the lost audio of the bear mom.
Oh God, yeah, we have no shame whatsoever. Is anybody gonna rate the movie, Ben? Are you gonna rate it, or
that was rating it?
What is going on?
That was rating it.
We're in probability drive rating these ones. Where are you at? You gonna go traditional?
I was gonna try to give it an actual rating, but I don't.
I'm curious if you're gonna go letter or number.
Well, number grades are for films. Right?
This is a documentary, though. A documentary.
Yeah, I know it is. So what about how about a hybrid system? Number letter?
This is like Battleship with death. It's an A7.
Kind of. Yeah, it's an A7 exactly.
You sunk my battleship.
I don't know, man. I was trying to give it a serious rating, or at least that's what I had intended, like we normally do.
Go for it, man. Please.
Well, I mean, the documentary itself it's great. It's not it's great to watch. It's super informative. Like it's interesting. The subject matter is interesting. I still stand by what I said at the beginning of the show, that like Herzog's kind of Debbie Downer kind of thing kind of takes away from some of the more what am I trying to say here? Like the more elevated parts of Treadwell and his personality and what he's trying to do. You know, I do think that from a subject matter standpoint, like, did any of this really need to be done? No. It was really more about him than anything else. But I do like that he went and brought it to the world and asked for nothing. So in that sense, he gave back. It's a good documentary. Herzog just makes it even better, and his weird lines in the movie make it even better. Bonus is that there was a sick mustache in this documentary, courtesy of Willy Fulton. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7.63.
Nice. Yeah, I would end up something similar if I wasn't being such a sassy squirrel.
Yeah, I'm staring at IMDb right now, and the rating on IMDb is 7.8 out of 10, and I would have to say that I fall somewhere right in line with about that.
Yeah, it was good. It was definitely interesting to watch. I love a good doc, and this was good.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was boring,
And in terms of my silly, 14 out of 22 rating, there are only 22 documentaries on a list of 400 plus movies in the algo. So there really aren't any documentaries that I think are really fucking good documentaries. So the fact that it's even on the list, there's three Herzog movies on the list. So
sure,
it's a fucking good movie. If you're interested in documentaries at all, and if you're interested in really weird characters and really weird filmmakers, it's entertaining and interesting and dark.
If you're interested in Herzog, it's a good one.
Oh, you gotta watch it, man. If you're a Herzog fan, you gotta watch it.
No doubt.
What do we have coming up next week, C-Lab?
Next week, we are talking about season 5 of The Expanse.
Ooh, that should be spicy.
That's a spicy kibble.
It's a spicy meatball. All right, well, there you have it, folks. Tune in next week for the season 5 Expanse show.
Clearly, it's not a spicy meatball. It's a spicy all edges lasagna.
Whoa! Oh my God! Talk about a late show death, man.
How did we
For
miss
me,
that?
And for Chad.
Yep.
Yeah, I gotta throw that in there.
I've got a couple of shout outs before we wrap up, if that's all right.
Man, you're all about these shout outs. What's going on?
Well, first of all, I wanted to just for the record correct that it's not ground tacos, it's trash tacos for friend of the show, Berto. I misspoke.
I kind of like ground tacos.
I kind of like ground
though.
tacos too, but just to state for the record, trash tacos is the preferred nomenclature, but we can decide. Whatever.
Fair enough. But we put our own spin on it as we do everything.
Yeah. So we love you, Umberto, and thank you for the anecdote. And again, I apologize for sharing your hilarious anecdote, but it was too good not to pass up. And the second,
it was way too good.
The second shout out is Joe, who's a friend of ours on Instagram. Joe_tacular posted to his story on Instagram about checking out True Lies after listening to our recent episode, to which I spoke with him, and then he shot back a screenshot where I had looked at his story and Tom Arnold officially had looked at his story. So Tom Arnold read it. Yeah, I'm totally serious. Tom Arnold saw him mentioning our episode, and I think that's kind of funny.
That's great.
Oh, man.
I'm glad we gave Tom Arnold some serious praise for that movie.
Yeah, he deserved it.
Yeah, he really does.
That was one of my favorite things about that episode and that movie was revisiting Tom Arnold's part.
Yeah. So
he was so damn good.
High fives to Joe for shouting us out and getting Tom Arnold's eyeballs on it. So in a really weird way, we have a connection to Tom Arnold.
That's awesome. I remember my first time getting shot out of a cannon.
And great handle, too, Joe Tacular. I really like that. Yeah, good stuff. Thank you, Joe Tacular. There you go. Folks, thanks for joining us. As always, we love having you. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And stay tuned next week as we tackle Season 5 of The Expanse. And we'll see you next time. So long.
So yeah, bye-bye.
That's going to wrap up this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you would like to support the show, there are many fantastic ways to do it. You can rate us and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. I don't know if you can do that on Spotify, but that would be great if you could. You can also support us on Patreon, folks. Patreon.com/EBD podcast. We had a number of you asking us how you could help, and that was what we did. We've already got a bunch of people supporting us, so thank you to all of those people. And for anybody that's not, if you want to, support us on Patreon, please. Helps us pay the bills and keep the lights on, like every other podcast guy says. If you like the show notes for this episode, you can find them in your podcast app of choice. My app of choice, to give a quick plug here, is Pocket Casts. It's fantastic. Try it out. Or you can go to our website, ebd.fm/episodes/91. As always, folks, follow us on social media. You can find us on pretty much every social media using the handle @EBD Podcast. So join us there. Hope you enjoyed this episode talking about Grizzly Man and Werner Herzog this week, folks. And please tune in next week for The Expanse. It should be great. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, folks.
step into it.